Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday. I had to think about that. Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. I hope you're safe and healthy today on this Tuesday. I hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, who along with the first responders every day are saving lives, and those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries of people, food, water, clothing, things for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of pornography and child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, sex slavery, double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts of these disgusting industries. Finally, double blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless, along with families and veterans in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, now we move into the next phase for the Knicks. Now that the season has ended, 2024-25 begins. That's how it works. And so there's a lot of dates that are coming up. There's a lot of decisions that's got to be made. And there's a lot of BS on the major platforms. It happens every year. But every year there's a sucker born every minute. And then, of course, there's a large contingent of Knicks Nation that for which the BS rumors are catnip. Me, myself, I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of the BS and I don't pay attention to certain outlets regardless. So if BSPN says something, leave it alone. That's what I say. So don't come to me saying this is what BSPN said, because it don't mean much. And then there's a whole bunch of other platforms, which I won't even name, but not worth the time. There's really only three wise people that I listen to. Adrian Wojnarowski, who happens to also be on BSPN, but when he says something, it's going to happen. Also, of course, Shams. Then there's, of course, Ian Begley, the New York Knicks, called Insider. Those three people are pretty reliable. Over the years, they have proven to be pretty reliable with regard to important information about the Knicks. So everything that comes out, I verify it based on what these guys are saying. If these guys ain't saying it, I'm ignoring it. Also, we need to understand, and some of you will not understand because you just are not capable. Most of you are, but the Knicks move with common sense. They don't move with NBA 2K or speculation or just big names. They don't do that. They have built Leon Rose under the auspices of ownership of James Dolan. Leon Rose and company have built a culture in New York. So if you think of the Miami Heat or the San Antonio Spurs or the Boston Celtics, what would they do as long-term sustainable winning franchises? What they do now? San Antonio is not at this time, but it's pretty easy to see with Victor Wembanyama that they're going to be very shortly. So what would they do? Because that's the smart move to do. Not just throw names out there. And of course, as every year, there's people throwing names out already about rumors and connecting those names with the Knicks, which is ridiculous 90% of the time. There's really only one name, one, that the Knicks might, and I mean might, be interested in. That's Mikal Bridges. Outside of that, no. This is a team that went deep into the second round, seventh game, okay? And so the next move is Eastern Conference Finals and championship. They're now a championship contender. So they have the team to get them there. For example, when people talk about strengthening the bench, those are people that don't know the Knicks. And again, they're just bringing out BS because the Knicks basically played the second half of the season with bench as starters and got the second seed. So now what we have to understand is, what does the real bench look like on the current roster? So your starters on the current roster are Julius Randle, Isaiah Hartenstein, who was benched but now a starter, OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, and DiVincenzo. Those are your starters. Your bench is Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, Deuce McBride. Now, it could be Precious Achiuwa, but we're going to talk about that. In fact, today, what we want to talk about is the priorities for the Knicks in terms of re-signing players. The priorities for the Knicks in terms of re-signing players. So right now they have really 3 players. Now you're going to hear about rumors. They're going to cloud the atmosphere with rumors about Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. That's just clickbait for confusion and catnip. You can safely ignore all of that. And the reason I say that, for example, let's look at Julius Randle. Julius Randle is under contract. And he's under contract with the Knicks. He has a player option in 25-26 for $32.4 million. Okay, he's an unrestricted free agent at age 32 and 26-27. Let me say it again. In 26-27, 2 years from now, he's an unrestricted free agent at age 32. Okay, so right now, and going into 24-25, he's going to be 30. He's getting $30.3 million. There's no decision to make right now. See, you handle stuff as it comes up. You know, you give yourself a little time. Like, they're not going to wait till the last minute, but they're not have to deal with Julius right now. Same with Jalen Brunson. He's eligible for an extension of $156 million, but he's under contract. He'll be 28 years old and his next season starts. He's under contract. He's got a player option next year for $25 million, and then he'll be unrestricted free agent 2 years from now at age 30. Now him, they'll probably look to extend, but again, the money doesn't affect this year. It's extension we're talking, which is 2 years from now. Okay, so that's not a problem either. So we don't have to deal with, if you're management, you don't have to deal with these issues right now. Your priority is OG Anunoby, which started off with the Knicks with Julius Randle and Hartenstein going 14-2. So you want him. You want to make sure you have him. So OG Anunoby right now is 27 years old, or he's going to be. And OG Anunoby is right now going to opt out. He's got until the end of June. Basically, the end of June is the deadline for him to opt out of his player option of about $20 million, which he's certainly going to do. Okay, he's going to opt out of that. And why? Because he's going to be able to get, I'm expecting, and this is the thing, I'm expecting 4 years, $140 million. That's a per average of $35 million a year. That's what they're going to give OG. Okay, he's not going to get more than that. I don't see him getting too much less than that. He could, but I don't see him getting that because of his injury history, but he's important to the Knicks. You balance all that out, and you end up with about $35 million a year. And he's going to, now that, what does that mean? Well, right now, he's at $20 million. Okay, you got $20 million. So you're going to add another $15 million to that, right? It's to get him to 35, right? And you know the Don's going to structure the deal so that it works for the player, but it works for the Knicks too. So I wouldn't be surprised if it started off lower than 35 million and then built up over time so that the average is 35 million. But how are you going to get that money? Well, that's why you got deadlines on, for example, you got a deadline on Bogdanovich. You got a deadline on Bogdanovich. You got to decide what you're going to do with Bogdanovich by the 28th of June. What are your options? You can guarantee his $19 million for next year. And I can guarantee that's not going to happen. They did not trade for Bogdanovich to pay him $19 million for next year. So that $19 million will be saved. And 15 of that is going to OG. Okay? So there you go. So you got to decide. OG is on June 24th and Bogdanovich is on June 28th. And so OG is going to opt out of his contract on June 24th. And he'll be signed before July 1st to his new contract, which will probably be in the neighborhood of $35 million a year. He'll get that balance between what he's being paid now and what he's going to be paid then from Bogdanovich. Okay? There you go. Done. That's the top priority. That'll get done. The next priority is Isaiah Hartenstein. Isaiah Hartenstein, right now, he's outplayed his contract. He made about $11 million this year because of his performance. And so now you got to decide what's he going to be worth. Now, apparently the Knicks are limited in what they can pay him. they're limited to pay him somewhere around $17.5 million a year, which honestly, that's what he's worth or less. Okay. I read some idiot yesterday talking about, well, somebody's going to pay him $20 million. Well, you know what? This is how the Don thinks. Let me just tell you right now, if you don't know. Somebody pay you $20 million? Blessings, man. Go and get your money. They ain't going to do that. The Knicks are not going to do that. Okay. So I don't think somebody's stupid enough to pay him $20 million. I'm trying to think of a team that would do that. And I don't see any. I'm talking about contenders. He ain't going to no Charlotte Hornets. Okay. But I'm talking about contenders that would pay him that kind of money. Maybe the Clippers, but they got a problem with 3 big contracts they got to pay already. So I don't think so. So I'm thinking, he's going to stay with the Knicks. I'm seeing 4 years, $60 million. So he made already $10 million this year. He's going to need another 5. Where is that going to come from? Well, you're going to save money because you're going to let the $10 million from Alec Burks go. Done. Okay. So now the $10 million that, Alec Burks is $10 million. He's got a cap hit of 19. That's not going to happen. So that's gone. And he'll go as a free agent. And maybe the Knicks will re-sign him to a much cheaper deal. Maybe something like a mid-level exception, but not the 19 million. So OG's money is going to come from Bogdanovich, and Hart's money is going to come from Burks. That's why they got those 2 guys. Okay, aside from the help at the playoffs, which they did help, obviously, but they weren't long-term solutions. They were temporary solutions. Okay, so now you got OG paid, you got Hart paid. So you're done. There you go with that. Now, Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa is going to be a restricted free agent. He got a cap hit of $13 million. And so, but they're going to have to make a qualifying offer again by the end of June for him. And the qualifying offer is something around $6 million. And I think that's about right. He'll probably get, because he was drafted in the top 20, that's why he's not, to me, worth more than Deuce. And Deuce is only getting $12 million over 3 years. But he was drafted in the top 20. Deuce was a second rounder. So they got a 6.275 qualifying offer. I can see 3 years, $24 million for him. $8 million per. Okay, I can see that for Achiuwa. They could do that if they wanted to keep him. Now, that's the only question. Precious Achiuwa is the question mark. I would bring him back unless the only player I see in the entire NBA that would fit on New York's bench perfectly instead of Precious Achiuwa is Alex Caruso. Now, Alex Caruso only has he had a nice contract, but his contract has got to the point now where Chicago's got to make a move because Chicago only guarantees $3 million of his deal next year. So Alex Caruso, looking at his money, let's take a look at Alex Caruso. He's the only guy. I know you guys are going to name all kind of players. Forget it. I'm not going to be with it. I done already looked at the league. Ain't nobody else out there that I'm interested in. I'm only interested in this piece because he fits the bench perfectly. You put him beside Deuce and you put him beside Hart. You got, you still going to have 3, 6'4", 6'2" guys, but with Mitchell Robinson out there and OG, that's a hellified lineup. So I'm thinking, no, he signed a 4-year, $37 million deal, about $9 million a year, but he's only guaranteed 3 this year coming up. And they got to make a decision on him, in June, whether to guarantee the rest of his deal, June 30th. Now, in these scenarios, a trade might happen, okay? They might work a trade for him. If that is the case, he can definitely be had. The Knicks do have access to the mid-level exception, which is 12.8. So they can give him up to that. Okay, they probably won't even need to pay that to him, but they can give him up to that. So he's the only, and we're only talking speculation here because he's the only guy I see that fits with the Knicks. Not Bruce Brown, not nobody else. It's Alex Caruso. If Caruso comes to the Knicks and on that bench, that's a real injection. But you're going to lose Precious if you do that. So that's the Knicks' decision to make. I don't know what they're going to do. But if they decide to keep Precious, I can see them keeping him 3 years, $24 million, and you just move on with the whole band going forward. Okay? But that's it. OG will be re-signed. iHeart will be re-signed. And then you're just going to move forward with the band. You don't have to worry about Julius. You don't have to worry about Jalen right now. Matter of fact, it's wise to wait on both of them right now, especially Julius. He's going to be 30. You want to see him come back. You want to see him come back strong. Then next summer, you could talk about extension next summer. But for this summer, don't worry about it. That's next year's problem. Jalen Brunson. You could offer him the $156 million extension now. If he takes it, fine, but that's not going to affect this year's salary at all, and probably not even next year. That's 2 years from now. So you could offer that, and they could sign it, fine. Lock him up if you can. If not, that's next year's problem. You deal with that next year too. See? So right now, you're going to lose Bogdanovich, you're going to lose Burks, but you're going to lock in Hartenstein, OG Anunoby, and possibly either get Precious Achiuwa locked in, or you're going to go get a Caruso and see what you can do. Because the Caruso for Precious, that's a nice trade for both teams. Young player, can play center and power forward. That's Precious, play defense. You can put him in there in Chicago at a cheap price. And then the Knicks get a bench piece that's a tremendous defender and an open short shooter. Okay, another shooter that could hit open jump shot, which you need. So you got him, Deuce, Hart, and Mitch Rob. You got a tremendous bench right there going for the next year. So all this talk about pressure on the Knicks and BS like that is stupid. They're gonna lock in OG Anunoby. He's gonna opt out, and they're gonna give him his money. They're going to lock in Hartenstein. He's going to get his money. He's going to get, $15 million a year. That's about what he's worth. Maybe 16. Okay, that's $64 million. Whatever. But it's going to be in that $15 to $17 million range. It's not going to break the bank. It's going to be within the budget. It's going to fit when you lose Burks and Bogdanovich. That's $29 million off your books. And you're replacing that with raises to Hartenstein and OG. Very simple. It's not that complicated, y'all. Caps can be complicated, but not in this case. They're going to re-sign those two caps. The only question is Precious. If they keep Precious, they could lock him in, for 3 years. Precious Achiuwa right now is only like 24 years old. I mean, he's 20. He'll be 25. He's young. 25, 26, 27. You can lock him in for 3 important years. Just like Deuce. Deuce is 23 going on 24. And yeah, so he'll be 24, 25, 26. He's not even in his prime when he's out of this contract. He can get paid still. And he's going to be an important piece, for the Knicks going forward. So you really want to keep the band together and come back in the fall with a healthy team. That's the most important thing. The added player is health. You bring the Jew back healthy. You bring OG back healthy. Everybody's healthy coming into training camp. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to be really, really good. The Knicks are now officially in the championship conversation. I don't care what nobody says on any platform. They don't have to do nothing. They don't need to go get, some people, you need a running mate for Brunson. It's stupid. They don't need a running mate for Brunson. They already got him. It's called OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, DiVincenzo. They never needed, I've been telling you, they never needed no superstar. Never. They were just building a team, which they have done. Just keep the team. Okay? The only exception is Mikal Bridges, but we'll cross that bridge, proverbial bridge, no pun intended, when we get there. But right now, you're going to sign OG, you're going to sign Hartenstein, and you're going to decide on Precious Achiuwa. And it's probably, I would say, 80% chance they keep Precious. But if they could get a Caruso, Tom would prefer a Caruso because he's vet. He's all the things Thibodeau loves. So, yeah, and then, you can solidify. And he could also start if you needed him to. With Jalen Brunson going through bumps and bruises or whatever, you could start Caruso, you could start Deuce. You got all kind of parts to play with when you have that kind of lineup. But I can see Precious because he's 6'8", and then you still have 6'8" off your bench with Mitch Rob 7 feet. You still got OG 6'7". You still got Drew 6'8", and you got Mitch Rob. Got Hartenstein 7 foot. So you got nice size there, both on the floor and on the bench along the front line. So that works also. So the Knicks, I guess what I'm saying is, they're in very good shape. And they don't need to make any stupid moves, just prudent moves. And let me tell you something. If you don't know it already, if you're too busy in NBA 2K or on BSPN to see it, the Don is an expert at prudent moves. So, bottom line, they're going to re-sign OG. They're going to re-sign Hartenstein. And Precious is likely coming back. And they're going to bring that band back together and make a run for the chip next year. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. We'll be talking more about this as Mikal Bridges' situation heats up. And we'll be talking more about the draft going forward. But y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy the games that are still being played in the NBA while we still got NBA basketball. Shalom.